Hey there. Let's talk about something powerful today. The truth about men who choose to live solo. Not the stereotypes, not the myths, but the real Stoic wisdom behind this choice. You know what's interesting? Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest emperors, said something profound. The best retreat is the one into your own mind. And that's exactly what we're exploring today. Think about it. Society often paints solo living as something temporary, a phase before real life begins. But what if it's actually a powerful choice? What if living solo isn't about being alone, but about being complete? The ancient Stoics knew something that modern society often forgets. True strength comes from self-sufficiency. Here's what most people don't understand about men who choose to live solo. They're not running from relationships. They're running toward self-mastery. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and sometimes that freedom starts with the choice to live on your own terms." Let's break down the real truths about solo living that nobody talks about. First, it's about mental clarity. When you live alone, there's no emotional noise, no constant need to compromise your thoughts. Your mind becomes like still water, clear, calm, reflective. This is what the Stoics called inner citadel, a fortress of mental peace. Second truth, solo living develops incredible self-discipline. Think about it. When you're alone, you're the only one holding yourself accountable. No one's there to push you to clean your space, manage your time, or maintain your habits. You become your own master. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Here's something fascinating. Studies show that men who successfully live solo often develop stronger social connections. Sounds counterintuitive, right? But it makes perfect sense through the Stoic lens. When you're not dependent on others for happiness, you can build relationships from a place of choice rather than need. Let's talk about the financial aspect. Another truth nobody mentions. Solo living men often achieve financial freedom faster. Why? Because they make decisions based on logic rather than emotional or social pressures. The Stoics taught that true wealth isn't about having everything you want, but wanting what you already have. But here's the most powerful truth. Solo living teaches you to face yourself. There's nowhere to hide, no distractions from your own thoughts. This is where real growth happens. As Seneca said, the first proof of a well-ordered mind is to be able to pause and spend time with oneself. Now let's address the challenges. Yes, there are moments of loneliness. Yes, there are times when society's pressure feels heavy. But remember what Marcus Aurelius taught us. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It's not about being alone. It's about being at peace with yourself. Here's a practical truth. Solo living men often develop better decision-making skills. Why? Because their choices are truly their own. No external pressure, no compromise for the sake of peace. Just clear, rational thinking, the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Let's talk about productivity. When you live solo, you create your own rhythm. Your space becomes a reflection of your mind, organized, purposeful, efficient. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." The modern world tries to sell us the idea that being alone equals being lonely. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that solitude is where we find our strength, our purpose, our truth. Solo living isn't about isolation, it's about integration with your true self. Here's the final truth. Men who master solo living aren't running from life. They're running toward their best version. They understand what Seneca meant when he said, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich." Remember, choosing to live solo isn't about being antisocial or anti-relationship. It's about building the strongest possible foundation for whatever life brings your way. It's about becoming someone who chooses rather than someone who needs. The real power of solo living comes from understanding what the Stoics called self-sufficiency. Think about this. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with messages about needing others to be complete. But what if the opposite is true? What if true strength comes from being complete on your own? Let's talk about something practical, the morning routine of solo living men. It's not just about making your bed or brewing coffee. It's about creating a sacred space for self-reflection. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his morning meditations, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being prepared. Solo living teaches you to face each day with clarity and purpose. You learn to control what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control, focusing only on what you can influence, letting go of what you can't. Here's something fascinating about men who master solo living. They often become better leaders. Why? Because they've learned to lead themselves first. They understand what Seneca meant when he said, "The greatest power we have is the power of choice." Let's address the elephant in the room, society's pressure to be in a relationship. The Stoics would say this pressure is an external, something outside your control and therefore not worth worrying about. Your worth isn't determined by your relationship status, it's determined by your character. Think about this. Every great philosopher, from Socrates to Seneca, emphasized the importance of solitude for developing wisdom. When you live solo, you're not just living alone, you're living with purpose. You're creating what the Stoics called an inner citadel, a fortress of mental strength that no external circumstance can breach. Here's a powerful truth about solo living. It teaches you to find joy in simplicity. You learn that happiness doesn't come from accumulating things or relationships, but from cultivating wisdom. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The modern world often confuses being alone with being lonely. But there's a profound difference. Loneliness is an emotional response to isolation. Solitude, as the Stoics taught, is a chosen state of being that leads to growth. When you master solo living, you're not avoiding connection. You're building the strongest possible foundation for authentic relationships. Let's talk about something practical. Decision-making. When you live solo, every decision is yours. This might seem daunting at first, but it's actually liberating. You learn to trust your judgment, to weigh options carefully, to make choices based on reason rather than emotion. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." One of the most powerful aspects of solo living is the ability to maintain emotional equilibrium. Without the constant emotional push and pull of living with others, you learn to regulate your own emotional state. This doesn't mean becoming cold or detached. It means developing what the Stoics called rational emotions. Remember this. Choosing to live solo isn't a rejection of relationships or society. It's an embrace of self-development. It's about building such a strong foundation within yourself that you can engage with the world from a position of strength rather than need.